Hi guys, this is Zainab and I'm joined here by my team member Brian. Today's topic is human interaction. We'll talk about give an overview about the topic and talk a little bit about the research, the current research related to this topic. So, what is human-computer interaction, or HCI? It is a multidisciplinary field of study focusing on the design of computer technology and, in particular, the interaction between humans, which are the users, and computers. While initially concerned with computers, HCI has since expanded to cover almost all forms of information technology design. Um, so think about it like things that you do on a daily basis, whether you're typing on a keyboard, swiping a smartphone, or asking a home speaker to play your favorite song. We interact with computers and other types of technology on a daily basis. The study of human-computer interaction and user experience are two complementary aspects of these interactions. HCI has a history going back to early days of computer revolution, even before Steve Jobs and Bill Gates even started designing the first operating systems for consumer use. UX is a more recent idea focusing on the practical application of HCI and has become synonymous with designing websites and apps to be easier to navigate and use. A central objective of HCI is to make computer systems more user-friendly and more usable. Users interact with computer systems through a user interface, which consists of hard and software that provides means of input, allowing users to manipulate the system, and output, allowing the system to provide information to the user. It is recognized in HCI that good interface design presupposes a good theory of model of human-computer interaction, and that such a theory should be based in large part on a theory of human cognition to model the cognitive processes of users interacting with computer systems. The most important concepts in HCI are functionality and usability. Services provided usually by a system are called functions, and usability is when a user utilizes the system's functions easily, properly, and clearly. And functionalities and usability uh, may vary from one system to another, and a system is said to be successful if there is a balance between both functionality and usability. So, the more practical and design-based aspects of HCI, which tend to be more customer-facing, fall into the field of user experience. So, what is user experience? As the name suggests, UX focuses on how a user experiences their interaction with a type of technology. User experience designers follow a process that allows them to understand the key facets of that interaction. Uh, this includes context of use. These are which are the motivations and reasons for a user to interact with the technology. Um, the second one is user requirements, which are the specifications users have to be able to achieve their goals when using the technology. And the third one is design aesthetics, and these are the elements like graphic design, text, user workflow, audio design, and ergonomics that affect how the user interacts with the technology. The UX process tends to be ongoing. As users interact with technology, the UX designer gains more insights that can be applied to the continuing development of the technology.
As mentioned in the previous slide, the UX in human-computer interaction is a fairly big and important aspect of how humans interface with computing devices. Some of the organizational impacts of human-computer interactions and interfaces include advanced security options such as dual-factor authentications, automation and business processes, big data, scalability and onboarding, mobility. As the human-computer interface changes with the evolution of technology, we find that we are able to use things like artificial intelligence to help with automation, machine learning to help with big data, um, and be able to use our mobile devices, which are effectively computers, to interface and be in a constant state of connection um, with data and our industries.
So what are HI and UX current developments? Smartphones with touchscreens are one of the most popular examples of UCI and UX, but the field is likely to expand as new technology trends like these evolve over the next decade. As examples, there's voice-guided user interfaces. Um, as natural language processing technology develops, we will interface more and more with the Internet of Things. Humans will be interacting with technology using only their voice for everything, from playing music on your home speaker to giving instruction to industrial robots. The other example is a gesture guided user interface. We already use gestures like swipes, pinches, and taps to navigate touchscreen computers. As technologies like gaze tracking, gesture recognition, and brainwaves interfaces develop, we may use gestures alone to play games, allow users with mobility issues to have more independence, and guide robots to perform surgeries. Um, the other example is virtual or augmented reality. Virtual reality headsets allow us to engage in truly immersive experiences. And as the technology develops, we may perform more of our daily tasks using a headset instead of a laptop and a keyboard. Augmented reality allows us to experience the world while assisted by technology. Instead of looking at the map on your phone while driving, an augmented reality display could project directions on your windshield, which is really cool. The other example is wearable injectable technology. Devices like smartwatches and fitness monitors allow us to track our vital signs, and technologies exist that allow diabetics to use devices embedded in their skin to monitor blood glucose. Um, as medical technologies develop, more of these technologies will go a level deeper, being injected into the skin to monitor our health in more profound ways and even deliver treatments. As the connection between humans and computers evolve beyond the keyboard and touch screen, HCI and UX will be needed to cooperate and work together to create the user interfaces of the future.
Some advantages and gains, pros and cons to HCI include as we develop and increase our interactions with UX and HCI, we find that accessibility and native interfaces become more intuitive. Uh, Even Microsoft is focusing on accessibility in their UX and UIs now. Uh, Adoption rate for your products and the speed in which you can manage and migrate through a life cycle of a customer or your product cycle has increased. Um, we're simplifying the experience by simply providing interfaces that are mimicking the natural flow of how users want to interact with machines. The increasing amounts of data that we are collecting, biomedical data and other data, uh, enable large-scale studies for us to advance the field in information technology, whether that's related to information security or to the business at hand. Some cons include the increased complexity of code. As we deploy more and more interfaces that are centric to the hardware or to the user, the complexity of the code increases. This is how we get design models like MVVC and those kinds of things in coding to try to help reduce that. But the code is going to get largely more complex as we introduce more interfaces and more design options. The increasing amount of data requires specific or tailored computing solutions. So there's a large cost of entry here for being able to handle and tailor your solutions. Also, the data that comes out of this, being able to mine that data requires specific and tailored solutions. There are some limitations with hardware right now. As hardware progresses, we progress in human interface design. But however, there are some current limitations in hardware of what we can and cannot do. And there are also some concerns about like AI bias and things like this. When we start to have the interface make decisions based on intuitive gestures or intuitive decisions that we've aligned with inside of our AI, is there a bias here that's happening with those gestures? Are we going to have some difficulties with that in the future? So with HCI, the research world is kind of opened up quite a bit due to the fact that as we progress in our evolution of hardware and software and our evolutionary experience with computing, our interface changes. And so we have a whole host of things that we can research here, from intuitive gestures, hand gestures, or voice recognition commands, or hand recognition commands, or the whole idea of being able to pick something up and it recognize what it is and be able to give you feedback on that based on preferences, immersive experience, the heads-up display in Google Glass, or the metaverse, or even some of the things that are happening in web development right now. What does that look like? How does that impact our interaction with computing, biomedical data, whether that's biomedical data or even biometric or biogeometric data, and the regulations around that as we pump more data about DNA or fingerprints or facial recognition into these systems. How does that change our interaction? What are some of the regulations on that, both nationally and international organizations? Our impacts on education and accessibility, how the evolution of this technology and this interaction is going to change the way we produce content for education and the accessibility of that content for previously inaccessible populations. The impacts on healthcare as we continue to walk around with computers in our pockets and on our wrist, and wearable technology and the personal network of data that we carry, and how we interact with that data and how that data interacts with our physical and digital world. There are lots of opportunities here for research.